RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com for everything Royal Caribbean related. RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Welcome to Alaska, everybody. We did have a live stream the other day, or attempted to do one, and it wasn't the best one I've ever done. So I wanted to make it up to you all today with today's live stream, as we are here on Royal Caribbean Serenade of the Seas. We are in Juneau, actually here till 8 o'clock. It's pretty warm out right now. So not too bad, but welcome everybody. I know there was no real forewarning for this stream, so I don't know who will actually join in here, but just wanted to say hello, check in, and hopefully make up for our last live broadcast. I have my laptop, I've got my hardware, I can see the chat very easily, so I think we'll be okay on this. We just had a great day in Juneau today. We actually rented a Jeep for half the day, and we saw a lot of cool things. We went to Mendenhall Glacier Park, we went to Eagle Beach, we saw a bear. It was a really fun day. It was a lot of self-exploration, as in Alaska, not myself, but we took the family there, and it was great. Mike Bedard is our first chatter in. Hello, and of course, so we're also here to answer your Royal Caribbean Cruise questions. If you have a question that I can answer, please type your question in chat, and we can also start us off with the most important question, which is how many days until your next Royal Caribbean cruise? Type your countdown in chat. Let's count down together. Of course, we're staying on board. Our next countdown is whatever Sunday is. I'm staying on board for another cruise. We're doing another week here on the Serenade of the Seas to Alaska. Archie the Archie in the house of Archie. Welcome. Alicia, what's going on? Games Matrix. Going on my second ever cruise and going to Alaska in August. You picked a good one, man. I'm very curious to see Games, what you think of Alaska versus, I assume you did Caribbean beforehand, how that compares, because it's absolutely phenomenal here. NYC Lover for life, what's going on? Welcome, good to see you all here. Terry, hello. Brett Chafee in the house. Brett, it's been a while since we last chatted. Hope you and the family are well. Mark going on Jewel of the Seas in about 9 days. Nice. Jeff Leddick in the house. May sneak one in before that one. Okay, I missed you. Oh, 346? Yeah, Jeff, you gotta get another cruise before that. You can't have your countdown 346. You need something else. And by something else, I mean like 7 something else's. That's a long ways away. Shannon in the house. 39 days till the epic group cruise Mariner of the Seas. It's getting real, Shannon. Can't wait for that one. Can't wait to see you again. Lots of cool friends on there. Love it. Jill Russell. Oh, my goodness. I go all the way to Alaska to be able to see Jill Russell again. It was worth it. How are you, Jill? Hope you're doing well. Glad to have you guys here. Jojo, good evening to you. It's funny. It's good evening. It's 4 o'clock here in Juneau. I know that over on the East Coast, it's about 8 o'clock. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we did a live broadcast on Tuesday. I had a lot of technical issues. I didn't feel good about it. And I thought, I got to make up for it. I got to make things right in the world. So I've got great internet connection here, I hope. It's like full bars of 5G. I've got my laptop. Got the whole pool deck to myself over here, as you can see on Serenade of the Seas. So hopefully you guys have we have the right setup, and we're here to answer your Royal Caribbean Cruise questions. So please feel free to type your questions in chat. Jennifer, taking your first cruise to Alaska on Serenade on June 18th out of Vancouver with my dad and daughter. Nice. That is exactly the cruise that we are on, and you're going to love it. It is really, really fun. So, Brogan in the house. Brogan, 3 days till cruise on Wonder will be 1 point off from Diamond after the cruise. So close. That's all right, man. You'll have a good time no matter what. So, yeah, no worries at all. Let's see here. Mike Bedard wants to know, how is the ship? Is there activities keep you busy? Yeah, I mean, the ship's great. You know, I love the Radiance. I've been on Brilliance quite a number of times. I've not been on Serenade before. There's certainly enough activities. It's not an Oasis class by any means, but there's stuff to do, you know. And what's nice is actually they're reopening the pub today. Or they're supposed to anyway. And let's hope that's still the case. But really, we're here for Alaska. Like in the Caribbean, I feel like there's a lot more impetus or a lot more reason to like fall back on what the ship has to offer. Here, I have been looking at this ship as lots to do, great dining, all that stuff that we love about Royal Caribbean. But I'm here for this. I'm here for Alaska, right? And I'm here for, really taking advantage of that. So we're not doing too many late nights out, which is, I know somewhere Shannon is like, who is this that's talking to me right now? No late nights, what? But we're here to, have a great time here in Alaska. But certainly there is some fun stuff on board the ship. It's still a Royal Caribbean ship. You've got some great entertainers on board, great dining. So we're having a very, very nice time. Russ Crawford in the house, 26 Days Alaska on Quantum. The excitement is palpable. That is a SAT word there, sir. Nice. Carrie wants to know, how busy are the ports in Alaska been? Do they seem to recover from COVID? Yeah, they're doing really well, actually. Yesterday, we set a record in, the industry, set a record in Sitka. There were 5 ships in port, which is a record for Sitka. Today, there are, I believe, 4 ships in port with us. It's us, I believe, the Holland America New Amsterdam, and 2 Princess cruise ships, which is pretty typical for Juneau Day. So, yeah, they're doing pretty darn well, and that's great. I mean, I know that they were, after a year of no cruise ships in 2020, and then half a season, if you want to call it that, in 2021, they were really hurting for business. So, yeah, it's good to see that they've recovered there, because I know that there's, this is their lifeblood here economically. Fishing is a big part of their economy, but tourism is huge right there. When I say tourism, we're talking about cruise tourism right there. Cruise addicts want to know, what beer and the icon of the seas? I have no idea, man. I don't know. The Royal Caribbean has not said yet what it will be. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So, the one wants to know, on Independence of the Seas, is there a Friends of Bill W group on board? There are always, in the Cruise Compass, the one, you will always see a Friends of Bill W event listed there. It's self-led, so it's not like Royal Caribbean organizes it, but they do provide you a time and a location. But it's up to you to, there's a honeybee that's here, to show up. So, but yes, they do have that. Oh, it's always in the Cruise Compass, the one. If you go to RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, click on Cruise Compasses in our main menu, you can find some examples of that. I'm sure you'll see that over there. So, hey, I've got a super chat coming in. Our first super chat of the day from Lunchbox. Thank you, Lunchbox, for the super chat. I don't see a message from Lunchbox. Oh, here it is. Now I see the message. Thank you, Lunch Super Chat. Have you ever sailed on Norwegian or Carnival? I have sailed one time on Norwegian. It was back in 2012, and it was the Norwegian Gem, I think. Star. It was out of New York City. My parents paid for it. I was just out of college, and I was like, I got no money, so yeah, sure, I'll go on a cruise, parents. It was all right. It was aight, but it wasn't. I would be the first to admit that's not like Norwegian's best ships that are out there. So the answer is I've not sailed on much outside of Royal Caribbean. Next question is from Chad. Does the shorter cruises have laundry services? They do indeed. Absolutely. Terry, Alaska is fabulous. Oh, yeah. Really, really good. Christo, how is the internet on board? On this ship, it's pretty bad. It's fine for you're going to be sitting there and it'll take a while to load, but it'll work. So far, it has been manageable, but slow, which I like. But I've been trying to do most of my work while we're in work, which reminds me that I should probably do that before you leave tonight. Anyway, it's fine. The Radiance class ships always have not great internet, and in Alaska, it can be very difficult with the weather and the mountains causing problems as well. But yeah, it's not great. So don't plan on anything that's made, checking email, Facebook, that works fine. But, doing I would never do a live broadcast like this on the ship's internet. It's too slow for that. So, Nathan wants to know, how does it feel to be back on one of the classics? It feels great to be back on board a Radiance class ship, Nathan. I went on Brilliance in February, as you may or may not know. And originally, I wasn't planning on going, and I booked a last-minute cruise to go on there because I really do love the Radiance class. There's just something about it that really stands out. It's a fun ship to do that. And it's just, I'll tell you one thing, Nathan. Boy, it's so easy to go from one end of the ship to the other. It's not like on an Oasis class or a Quantum class, where when you have to go from one end to the other, it's like, oh, it's such a hike here. Not so much. So, yeah. Let's see here. Joe Jean says, hi, Matt. My wife and I took our first cruise for our honeymoon to the Bahamas. Independence of the Seas was amazing. Next cruise deposit? Check. Nice. Fantastic. Nautical nurse Nancy, how are you? It looks cooler there than it was last week. We had the nicest weather there on Ovation. We had amazing weather yesterday in Sitka. And this morning, Nancy, it looked like what you imagined. The clouds rolled in right around this afternoon. I want to say, let's say 1 o'clock. It's been very, very light rain, but it's still very warm out. My My sleeves are rolled up because it's so fairly warm. I'm only wearing a very light sweater. It's the weather has been phenomenal. I am not complaining one bit whatsoever. And yesterday in Sitka was amazing. And this morning, Nancy, when we were driving around, it was clear blue skies. Sun was shining. It was really, really nice. This is the best Alaska weather I've had compared to my other time I've been here in 2018. So, oh goodness. Let's see here. Next question. Danny wants to know if I've ever been on Norwegian. I have not been on a Norwegian cruise. So I don't know if you mean NCL or like a cruise to Norway. The answer to Norway is no, and I've been on one NCL cruise, as I talked about a little earlier. Next question is from Eric. Is the drink package truly unlimited? Yes, it is. So I know other lines like Carnival do have a limit. Royal Caribbean does not. So Twixie wants to know what are my thoughts on the virtual balcony rooms. Essentially, the virtual balcony room is not a replacement for the balcony. It's an upgrade from an inside room. So the answer is why not? I don't know what compelling reason not to get one compared to an inside room. But you should look at it as, oh, I can get a just as good as a regular balcony. Not like that. Think of it as more as an upgrade from inside than a replacement for a true balcony room. Kathy wants to know, how does your phone work if you have it on airplane mode and you need to connect to the app from Royal Caribbean? Oh, well, putting your phone in airplane mode, Kathy, disconnects the its ability to connect to a cell phone signal. But you can still use Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, even though your phone is in airplane mode. So you connect to via Wi-Fi, essentially. That's how that works. Nancy wants to know, is it typical for the internet to be poor in Alaska given all the mountains and the weather? Yeah, pretty much. If I was on Ovation or Quantum, you might have a better chance because Quantum and Ovation use a higher quality type of internet. So Royal Caribbean, I'm going to be real with you guys. Royal Caribbean calls on all the chips, they call it VOOM, Internet at Sea. That's not true at all. It is fast on some ships, not others. This one, Serenade, has the older style of internet, the non-VOOM internet, even though they call it that. It's not. It's the previous generation of internet. Whereas ships like Wonder and Odyssey and Ovation, they have a higher generation of internet that works better. It's still not as good as maybe in the Caribbean, but yes, the weather, the mountainous terrain can all wreak havoc with any ship's internet. So, but if you're on a ship like Radiance or Serenade, yeah, it's not going to be great internet overall. So, but Ricardo wants to know, how does one make reservations for the dining packages? Basically, once you get on board the ship, go to any specialty restaurant and they can book something for you right there. Next question is from, do we have to register for Adventure Ocean Embarkation Day? Yeah, you can register at any point beyond, but it's a really good idea once you get on board the ship, usually around 1 or 2 o'clock, to go to Adventure Ocean and sign the kids up. They do an open house, so it's a good opportunity to do so, and you're not, in line later on and slowing things down. We got some chats coming in, starting with Hillary Holman. Thank you, Hillary, for the super chat. 17 days till Allure of the Seas. Woo! Indeed. And McHugh coming in. Super chat. Woo! Thank you, McHugh. I just reached diamond status and heard conflicting word about double points for diamond members. Do you know if diamond members should be double points for suites? No. So everybody, it doesn't matter if you're diamond or not. Suite, you get double points. So I'll make that very clear on that. You don't get any bonus points for being a diamond member in a suite, but if you stay in a suite, junior suite or above, you do get double points for staying in a suite. So it doesn't matter that you're diamond or not. Everybody gets that, and there's no additional bonus for being a diamond member. So hope that makes sense. Disney Diva wants to know, do we have to buy a drink package to have pop or soda? No, not necessarily. You can simply go to a bar and order a glass of soda, and they will charge you individually for the one soda. A soda package is an option if you're going to drink, 4, 5, 6 sodas a day, probably 5, 6, something like that. You could do that. But if you don't want to get a drink package, you just want to have like 1 or 2 sodas a day, you can absolutely just order them a la carte, and they just charge you a la carte. So there you go. Jennifer says, on the first day of the cruise, on Harmony, where's the best place to go for the fastest method to book reservations? The best option, if you can spot it, I can't promise you it's always in the same place, but usually, Jennifer, on the promenade, when you walk on board Harmony, there is a kiosk, some crew member set up with a little table, and it's especially your dining reservations. If you go there, they have a laptop, they can easily do that for you. If that's there, if you don't see it, don't stress. The next best thing, Jennifer, is to go to one of the specialty restaurants, and they can book any other specialty restaurant. So hopefully that makes sense there. Thank you for the question. Next question is from Regalius Rex, who wants to know, is it worth upgrading from a junior suite to a grand suite for Harmony? It depends on how much more, obviously. I can't give you a blanket statement. It's always worth it. It's not always worth it, but it depends on how much more is it, your budget. Could you use that money for a really cool, like, shore excursion? Would that be worth a better use of that money? What's your, it's a very personal question, Rex. So the answer is it depends on you primarily more than anything. Obviously, if it was like something like ridiculously cheap, like $50 more for the entire cruise, sure, yeah. I think we can all agree on that. But it's rarely that. It's usually a couple $100, if not more, to move up there. And that's where you start playing that game of, let's say it's $500, which is a pretty low amount, actually, to move up from a junior suite to a grand suite. Is it worthwhile? Again, some people might say, Matt, absolutely. Some other people might say, you know what? I'd rather take that $500 and do a really cool short excursion. Hey, we got a ship leaving over here. There's a princess ship sailing out. You'll see it in a second when it passes by, but it's pretty cool. We got a little sail away here on the Royal Princess that is passing by. There it is. You can see it's starting to move past us there. How cool is that? Pretty fun. So the answer is it worth it? It depends on your budget more than anything. So Don Moore's what's going on. Welcome. Paul C wants to know, can you expand on how repricing works? If you have non-refundable, do you lose out if you reprice? No. So basically, here's how it works. And you're in Australia, and I believe you're able to reprice in Australia. There are some countries like the UK where this can be a little bit different, Paul. So I'm going to tell you this, and I'm pretty sure this applies to both Australia and the US. But the way it works is up until final payment date, whether you have refundable or non-refundable matter, if you see a lower price, essentially the best way to see if there's a lower price, two ways. One, you do a mock booking on Royal Caribbean's website. Look up your cruise and see how much it is to move up to the same room you have, right? Make sure it's in the same category, Paul. Not just another ocean view or just another balcony. It has to be the exact category number. And if it's lower and you're before final payment date, you call Royal Caribbean and you say, hey, I see my room has dropped in price. If you book directly with Royal Caribbean, and they can reprice it. If you book it with a travel agent, your travel agent can do all that for you. And that's the other way to make this a whole lot faster. Your travel agent can also look this up and reprice it for you. But essentially, the easiest way to figure it out as a guest is to do a mock booking for your cruise and do that. There are some countries like the UK in which you can't do this, so that's unfortunate. Once you get past final payment date, Paul, there's no change. You can't change the price anymore. You're locked in right there. Let's see here. Susan Westfall wants to know, do you get suite perks or double points if you royal up to a suite? If you come from not a suite, like a balcony or something like that, you don't get double points, but you do get the suite benefits like, concierge lounge and the concierge and all that. But yeah, but if you're going from a junior suite to a grand suite, which you would already gotten double points in your junior, then yeah, you still get double points there. So hope that makes sense. Let's see here. Questions, guys. Thank you so much. Nathan wants to know, do you think Royal Caribbean will upgrade internet infrastructure on their older ships? I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening certainly anytime soon. I mean, who knows what the future may hold? But unfortunately, they've not. I remember when Royal Caribbean rolled out Voom, and it was on, I believe it was Quantum was the first ship, or Oasis. They started bringing it out, and it was a real game changer. It is. Big deal. They never really expanded it beyond that. I think it's just cost is going to be the number one reason not to. So, Julio from Connecticut, welcome. Good to see you here. Soda is not free. So this is inaccurate, Chloe. On Royal Caribbean, soda is not free. Soft drinks cost extra. Either you're paying for them or you do a drink package. So I appreciate you trying to help people out, but make sure you get the right information out there. CMIC, are WoW bands available on Oasis? No, they're not. Since the pandemic, they've not brought them back, which is really unfortunate right there. Hey, Jeff Hansen coming in with an epic. Holy moly. What? Are you kidding me, Jeff? That is a slap your grandma. It is such a good super chat. Grandma was not injured in the posting of this. Dude, holy moly, my friend, you did not have to do that. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say other than thank you, but wow. Woo! That's what I got to say. Dude, Jeff, you're the. Thank you. Roxanne wants, Jeff, I don't know what else to say, but thank you. It really means a lot to me. Thank you, my friend. You're the man. Thank you. Is the mask mandate coming back soon? I don't believe so, Roxanne. It didn't come back. The mask mandate has not come back at all. I can't promise you it won't, but as of right now, no. But I'll be honest with you guys. It's all wrapped up in junk right now. But I'm wearing my mask on board the ship when I'm on indoors. That's my choice to do so. We're here for 2 weeks. The last thing I want to do is get sick on this cruise, and I'm just, being a little more cautious about it. So our family's still wearing masks. We're one of few. There's very few people who are wearing masks on board our sailing. But hey, that's their decision. I'm making my decision. But we're here for 2 weeks. I flew all the way from Florida. This isn't like, oh no, I'll miss, a couple ports here. No big deal. Alaska's not a place I can go to all the time. On a Caribbean cruise, that'd be a different decision altogether. But for our family, we decided to go in that direction. Let's see here. Matt Banville in the house. Maeve and Lorelai. We have been talking about you guys all the time, not in a creepy way, but in a we wish Maeve and Lorelai were here. And when I say we, I really mean Gabby and Aubrey. I mean, your dad's not bad either. I don't mind hanging out with him. I prefer to have a little company. But hope you guys are well. Looking forward to seeing you next month. But tell your dad that he should have pulled you out of school to come on this cruise. I'm just saying. I mean, what more are you really going to learn in the next 2 weeks of school? Nothing. It's already like summer camp mode, right? You're just watching movies and yeah. JRX wants to know, how do I switch from my time to traditional dining? Basically, you're just going to call your travel agent or Royal Caribbean if you book through Royal Caribbean. So whoever booked it, they can change it right there. Grandma is safe, but that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that as well. Robert Barnes, thank you for the super chat. My wife was not credited for our past 7-night junior suite cruise. Should she bring her past set sail pass on the next cruise? No, don't do any of that, Robert. Call Royal Caribbean. Call the Crown and Anchor number. So if you I can't get the number right now, Robert, but if you Google Royal Caribbean Crown and Anchor phone number, call them up, tell them what happened. They'll be able to take care of that for you. Next question is from Kathy Crandall. Thank you, Kathy, for the super chat. I appreciate it. And Robert, again, thank you for the super chat earlier. Thank you, Kathy. Did you or are you doing the White Pass Scenic Railway in Skagway? If so, was it worth it? I am not planning on doing it. We don't actually have any firm plans for tomorrow. We were thinking about doing it, Kathy, until they announced that you can't go into Canada. The train is running, and I've heard really nice things about it. But it's not going to Canada. It's going to stop, I don't know, halfway, whatever it is. So we're probably not going to do that. I think our plan, and we're going there tomorrow, Skagway. I think our plan right now is to do a little potpourri, take a couple taxi rides around, and hit up some sites. But we're not planning on doing it. I think we were thinking about doing that, Kathy, when we thought the train would go into Canada, but it's not. So unfortunately, we will not be hitting that up, which is too bad on that. Brian, thank you for the super chat, buddy. We're considering lunch at Chops on Embarkation Day. Probably won't have luggage yet. Is the dress code slightly more relaxed? Oh yeah, don't worry about it, dude. People will be in there in bathing suits. Probably not bathing suits, but yeah, no, they won't. It's Embarkation Day. It's all different rules. Don't sweat it at all, man. You'll be totally good on that. Next question is from David. When booking with a good travel agent, will they monitor the cruise price after booking to find a lower price? Most do not, and that's not actually a reflection of a bad travel agent or not. That's a tough deal. Listen, I'm going to give you a shameless plug in there. Full disclosure, MEI Travel is a sponsor. You probably already know that. But MEI Travel, as an example, has proprietary software that runs through guest bookings they have and rechecks your price. Not every day, not every minute. It's periodically. I don't know how often it runs, quite frankly. But they do that. That is above and beyond. But again, just if your travel agent doesn't do that, that's not necessarily indicative of a bad travel agent either. I think that's something that just generally speaking is not done all that much. So I wouldn't expect it, is what I'm trying to say. But that doesn't make a bad travel agent. That just makes MEI, in my opinion, that I'm biased, really amazing. But again, to each their own. I'm not here to poo-poo other travel agents who, because again, I think that proactively checking price drops for guests on a lot is not something to do. Certainly some travel agents will do that, when new sales come out, but yeah. Let's see here. Teenage Aviation says, do you think Serenade will get a flow rider or other activities? I do not think they'll get a flow rider. I just think, given the age of the ship and the size, I think what you see is what you get for a little while longer. I just don't see a flow rider. I could be wrong on that, but I don't see that happening, quite frankly. Let's see here. Lots of questions, guys. Love it. Holly is doing Voyager of the Seas from Boston. September. Any series on hotels in Boston? I don't know if Mr. Banville is still here. Matt lives not in Boston, but in the greater area. Or somebody else in the chat can recommend a good hotel for Holly in Boston. Kathy wants to know, can I bring my own coffee mate? You mean like the coffee ad, like the liquid stuff, right? I don't see why not. I mean, I don't see why not. They usually, it seems cumbersome to me, but hey, it's your coffee, right? I don't see why not. I think it'd be more of a pain to bring it. You're either bringing your coffee now back to your room to pour it, or bring your coffee mate, pouring it, and then going back to your room. It seems like it's more trouble than it's worth, but I don't know of a reason why that'd be a problem. Let's put it that way. As in like a rules problem anyway. We have another super chat coming. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the generosity today. I mean, not just Jeff. Jeff, thank you for the super, but thank you to everybody today. The super chats are not required. It's just the tip jar that we have here on YouTube, and I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shoshana, excuse me. I've heard that of issues with vax kids in Cape Liberty being sent to a longer line with unvax, so not treated as vax adults. Yes, that's been my experience as well. It didn't happen here in Vancouver, but I think we just got there so early that they didn't get a chance to see that. So here's what happens, Shoshana. For whatever reason, and I think it's wrong, basically when you do the actual check-in, when you get to the terminal, even though your kids may be vaccinated, they send them to a separate line to be able to verify all kids to make sure they're being processed correctly. Either kids that are vaccinated going ahead and unvaccinated kids going somewhere else. Why do they do that? I have no earthly idea. It's not a big deal. It just usually means a longer line than if you, it just seems like, what's the difference if I'm vaccinated as an adult, my kids are not? But this happened in a couple of different ports, Shoshana. It's just, all it amounts to is just a longer wait. But not like hours or anything like that, just like a couple extra minutes while you got to go in another line. And a couple times we've been sitting in that line, and there's an empty line right there, and it's like, really, I got to wait in this line? But I think they're just so paranoid about making sure the kids who are vaccinated go in the right place versus the kids that are unvaccinated. They just put all the kids in one thing, but I don't understand it. I don't have a good answer because I don't understand the logic of it, quite frankly, but yes, you heard correctly on that to some extent. David Crawley, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ooh, the breeze just kicked in. It feels good. It's a little warm. Anthony wants to know, where can I reserve the flow rider and water slide on Venture? Neither of those you could reserve in advance. They're first come, first serve. The flow rider does have private lessons you can book on the cruise planner, but to access both the flow rider and the water slide with no cost, you just line up. There's no additional way to sign up for it or reserve time. Lisa has our next question for us. Do you need to wear closed-toed shoes for the zip line in Ultimate Abyss going on Harmony in 8 days? Yes and yes. Yes and yes. So just bring closed-toed shoes and socks. Diane says that's ridiculous to make the vaccinated kids stand in line full of unvaccinated kids. I mean, I don't understand the logic of it. Again, my only thought, Diane, I think it's just silly that if you can say, here, we've got me, my wife, my kids, here's 4 vaccinated cards. Clearly we are vaccinated. Let's just go in with everybody else. I don't understand the logic of it. I think what they're trying to do, Diane, is they are so fixated on making sure that nobody sneaks through, essentially, that's why they do it. It seems silly to me. I don't understand it. But yeah, I can't defend it, but I don't understand it either. It's not in the grand scheme of things, here's what I'll tell you. Having done this a couple different times, it's not a big deal. Don't forget, all the kids that came in there, unvaccinated kids, had to have done a PCR test beforehand. So the risks, I think, are low. It just seems like from a logistical standpoint, a pain, because you're inevitably, in my experience, I waited in longer lines purely based on the fact that I had children with me, which seems unnecessary, but Again, we're talking about an extra minute or two, not half an hour or anything like that. Russ, thank you, Russ, for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't see a message from you right here, Russ, but thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Guitar Boy Plays. Where can I reserve the kids class? Do you mean Adventure Ocean? You don't sign up for slots anymore. You just have to register on day one. So you go to Adventure Ocean on the first day, and there'll be a time in the cruise compass you can do 1 or 2 o'clock, and you can sign up. Nat wants to know, am I on Rhapsody? No, I am on the Serenade of the Seas. Serenade of the Seas. David wants to know, do you need a PCR test for cruises this fall? The only people that need to do a PCR test are unvaccinated kids under the age of 12. Everybody else, David, assuming you're an adult, would have to do either a PCR or an antigen test. So I recommend doing an antigen test. That's what I do every time. It's a lot faster, and you can get it back within the time frame that you have there. Scott says, can you clarify what type of USB hub we can bring on board rather than a power strip? Yeah, basically, Scott, I wish I was in my room. I could show it to you, but it's just a there's a number of them that are on Amazon, but it's basically a hub that plugs in to the wall. So it's one prong that goes into the wall, and then you get, 2, 8, 12 USB ports out, as opposed to something you plug into the wall that you get, electrical outlets out, essentially. There's a number that are out there, Scott. If you Google Royal Caribbean blog USB hub, you'll find lots of articles and links to examples of them on Amazon that are there. Let's see here. Next question is from Judith, who says, I just read that when bringing bottles of water on board, some people were putting vodka in the bottles as it looks like water, so now they changed the cans. I've not heard of that rule change. People do that, which is, if you can't afford the alcohol on a cruise, then you can't afford to go on a cruise. And number 2, follow the rules. You don't have to like the rules. You don't have to like the pricing. You also don't have to go on the cruise. But I've not heard of such a rule change, Judith. As far as I know, the rule is still bottles or cans of water. It's just got to be 12 ounces. People do this. There's lots of ways people, I'm not here to talk about how to break the rules. But I'm here to tell you that if you're thinking of breaking the rules, don't break the rules, okay? You don't have to go on the cruise. This is their way or the highway. Drink packages are very affordable. And at the end of the day, as my mom used to remind me all the time in college, you don't have to drink to have a good time. Kristen wants to know, is it too cold for a lava? Heck no, it's not. It's actually, I am wearing a sweater, but my sleeves are rolled up. It's very comfortable out right now. It is a little slight breeze. I'm going to guess it's in the upper 60s, maybe low 70s. It's great. Mike Bailey, what do you think of Serenade of the Seas? My first cruise a few weeks ago. It's a wonderful ship. I've been on her sister Brilliance a number of times, and honestly, it's very hard to distinguish between the two. It's a great ship. Classic cruise experience. I love it. Love the layout of the ship. It's a great ship. Love it. I'm going to watch my time here. What time is it in my world? 4:30. Okay. We got some time here. We still got a little more time to go here. And if you guys missed it, why am I live on, what day is today? Wednesday? Why am I live on a Wednesday? Because I wanted to make up for our live earlier this week. We had a lot of technical issues, and it didn't sit well with me. So I've got better internet, the right setup, and we're here to talk some. And the camera's not shaking and moving all around. So, yeah. Ian, do you know where in the app I can cancel one person on my party? No, you can't do that in the app, Ian. If you book through Royal Caribbean directly, you need to call them, or you call your travel agent. Keep in mind, by the way, Ian, if you're, let's assume for a second, if you just want to get rid of that one person, you're not going to replace them with anybody, you don't have to do that. They can just no-show. It won't get, what I'm trying to tell you, Ian, is if you cancel, that may incur a price change. You may end up actually paying more. So if you call up and they're like, okay, we can cancel that person, but it's going to end up costing you more because of whatever, you can actually leave it the way it is and just no-show. Basically show up to the cruise ship and they say, okay, Ian, where is, Bob? And you're going to say, well, Bob's not coming. Okay, no problem at all. They won't care. So something else to keep in mind. Carrie B says, do you recommend Vancouver or Seattle for a 7-day trip? I would say if you're an American and you've never done Alaska before, I would say Seattle. It's just easier, it's simpler, and it's cheaper to go out of Seattle. If you've done Alaska before, then definitely do Vancouver because the itineraries are better out of Vancouver. But if you've never been to Alaska before, or you have a lot of kids, there's a compelling reason to go to Seattle because Seattle is easier to get to. It's cheaper because flights are cheaper to Seattle and more plentiful. And the ships, the Quantum class, have a lot more for kids and families to do on board. Not to say that if you were in America, never did in Alaska before, and you're going to Vancouver, that's a mistake. Just, I'm just sharing my opinion on this. But when we were going on our first Alaska cruise, Carrie, in 2018, we picked Seattle with the simplicity of it. Going out of Seattle, flights, all that. Having done it once, now we felt comfortable. Okay, let's now go out of Vancouver so we can get some more time in ports, which was really important to us. So, hope that makes sense. We have another super chat coming in. It is from Marisol. Thank you, Marisol, for the super chat. Are gratuities on a 5-day cruise charged to 4 or 5 days? It's actually not days, it's nights. You're charged per night, Marisol. So you'll be charged however many nights of the cruise is, that's what you'll be charged. So, here's Russ's delayed super chat message. Hey, Matt, the pre-cruise shopping season started this week. Any recommendations on rain or cold gear? You mean for Alaska? Here's my advice, Russ. And this is what I did. When you go into port, you want to have 3 layers with you for any day of the week. So here, I'm going to strip on camera. So I'm wearing a t-shirt underneath. Okay. So that's your base layer. That's what you're going to, jeans are totally fine, right? You're wearing your t-shirt underneath. Then you're going to wear your warm layer. Your warm layer can be, this is a pretty light sweater, but I also have a fleece jacket in case the temperature was going to be cooler than expected. Second layer is a fleece layer. Third layer is a waterproof layer, so a drain jacket of some kind. Each of them should be as thin as possible, so that way you can always take off or put back on as you see fit. Again, this morning, Russ, it was gorgeous blue skies here, and the sun was shining. Now, it's cloudy, it's a little cooler out, and there's been on and off rain, right? And it's actually been not that much. But anyway, you want to keep doing that, being able to do that. So my recommendation is, if you're looking to buy things for Alaska, I buy a really good rain jacket. I go to like Columbia or North Face, just something that is a good rain jacket. It's not very thick. You don't want like a big poofy jacket because you might have to take it off later on and carry it. And then like a fleece jacket or a sweater or a hoodie for your middle layer. Hope that makes sense. Happily ever Yadi. Hello, everyone. Just got off a lurker this Sunday, having withdrawals from all the food and drink, and nobody cleaning your room or picking up your towels in the bathroom, right? The struggle is real. Yes, indeed. Yvonne wants to know, what currency are you charged on board? I'm leaving from Australia, South Pacific on Ovation. I believe it's US dollars. I'm pretty sure on that. So, how much is soda, cocktail, and beer? I can tell you in US dollars, Yvonne. Coke is going to cost you about $3. I think it's a little less, like 2 something. Cocktail, $10 to $12. Beer, $8 to $10, give or take. That's all before gratuity. And I think in Australia, it's all baked in. Don't worry about it. But that's a baseline anyway. Let's see here. Can you clarify the pre-cruise test? I thought it had a PCR. No, that's just basically, a lot of times people refer to tests as PCR tests interchangeably, but there are 2 kinds. If you're a vaccinated adult or vaccinated anybody from 12 and above, you can either do, up to 2 days before your cruise, a PCR or antigen test. If you have kids that are under 12 that are unvaccinated, then they must do a PCR test up to 3 days before the cruise. There you go. The Good Life 88, are you wearing a mask anywhere? Yeah, I'm wearing a mask everywhere I go. I choose to do that. That's showing you I keep it with me. When I'm indoors. Outside, you don't need to wear a mask, obviously. I don't feel there's a need to do that. But I wear my mask indoors. That was my choice. But you don't have to. In fact, like 98% of the ship of guests are not. The crew are all doing so. But yeah. Russ, you're very welcome, my friend. Very, very welcome. And of course, Russ, check out realcaribbeanblog.com/Alaska for more information about Alaska there. All right, guys. On that note, I think we're good here. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for hanging out. I know this is a last-minute live broadcast, but I wanted to be able to hop on here and make up for the issues that we had the other day. Next week we will probably. I look at the schedule. We won't be live on Monday because I'll be at sea again, coming out of Vancouver. So we'll have to schedule for a different day. I'll give you a heads up on that. And when we do that live broadcast, I will not neglect the aspect of it. I'll bring all the stuff that I need to do in order to have that ready for you guys. We'll answer one more question for you guys. And that is from CA, who wants to know, should I be concerned if I reprice and agent fares from refundable to non-refundable? The choice, that's a good question, actually. So, you book refundable and the reprice is a non-refundable. I mean, obviously you can ask them to do a reprice and refundable fare. You should only be concerned in the fact that if you think there's any chance you might cancel. I always book refundable cruise fare. That's just my personal preference because you never know. And I'd rather have that flexibility, even though it's going to cost me more money than a non-refundable. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who's possibly on the line for a change fee or a penalty. So that's my personal preference there. So my answer to you, CA, is as long as you're okay with it, like at some point, maybe closer to your cruise, for a fact you're going on this cruise. And then no, there's probably not. But that's a question more for you than it is for me. It's not an inherently bad decision. It's just a decision for you to make. So, guys, thank you all so much for joining us here. Have a great rest of your week. Of course, good night, Ron. We will, of course, I have a live blog every day documenting what we're doing here in Alaska. So be sure to check that out. I got some good stuff coming up for you tomorrow from Juneau, but check out what we did yesterday in Sitka over at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. By the way, here's the answer from Mr. Banville about where to stay in Boston for a hotel. So hotels around Seaport Boulevard are some good ideas for hotels there. So thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Guys, have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining us here. We'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Oh, before we go, I'll say some thank yous to our super chatters today. Marisol, thank you. Russ, thank you. David, thank you. Shoshana, thank you. Brian, thank you. Kathy, thank you. Robert, thank you. Jeff Hansen, thank you so much, my friend. McHugh, thank you. Hillary, thank you. And Lunchbox, thank you. All right, guys, we're going to head on out of here. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.